Welcome to Bachademia,
a podcast so educational it could be a university class.
With your hosts,
Danielle Dick McHugh,
Kim Hannah,
and Bill Henninger.
Welcome to Bachademia with only 4 short hours of Bachelor in Paradise a week. It was hard for us to come up for content this week, but I think we'll make it.
We got stuff
happening. What?
We've got stuff. We've seen
things.
We've seen things.
We have seen things. But before we talk about things, I've got an important question of the week. If you could be any type of bug, what would you be? Insect. I want insects here.
So spiders are out because they're arachnoids?
I'll count spiders.
Okay. Well, spider then, because I've always wanted to be Spider-Man. So yeah.
That's good. Making webs would be kind of amazing.
Right?
I think I would want to be a bee because I look really good in stripes. And I like that they basically just hang out in flowers all day.
Yeah.
So a specific type, we talking like bumblebee, we talking like carpenter bee, didn't go that far.
I don't know the different types of bees because I'm not an entomologist, but I like the big fat ones that are yellow and black.
Bumblebee, yeah.
Okay.
That's great. So this question was really just like a setup because I wanted to drop some exciting knowledge on you all.
Yes. Trap is sprung. Like Cuda honey. I walked right into that one.
The other night, we were sitting in a tent, because why not, in our backyard eating popcorn. And curiosity caught me. And I thought, are there any animals or bugs that have more than one butt? I didn't know. And what we discovered is that there's I'm going to say this very wrong. It's Ramacillus multicaudata. And it's this insect that lives in a sponge, and it gets even cooler. It sprouts butts, and it has like 100 butts that go into like the different like pockets in the sponge, and then the butts grow eyes and their own brain. It has 100 butts with eyes and brains. How cool is that? I want 100 butts.
I defy anyone that says we are not an educational podcast. You done been learned.
So yeah. Knowledge dropped, folks.
So
I don't even know how to go after that. I think our podcast is done for the night.
Is that the bug you would be, Danielle?
Heck yeah, I want lots of butts.
Okay.
I mean, sure, why not?
Wow. Damn.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty fantastic.
I don't know where to go from here, honestly.
It is like trying to find a great segue. Speaking of butts, there are a lot of butts on Bachelor in Paradise.
They are blacking out a lot of butts.
There are so many black boxes.
Did they update the how much ass has to be shown to do the black thing? Because I swear this didn't happen. Or have the swimsuits gotten smaller?
The swimsuits have gotten smaller. I think it's like a new trend to have lots of booty hanging out.
They've stopped the high waist, and now they're going with the small.
Or it's high waist but no butt.
They've taken all the fabric from the back, put it up around the waist.
But there's nothing on their boobs either.
That's true. There's just lots of skin. We're in a skin moment.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
I hope everyone's wearing sunscreen.
So rather than, because we are doing format or oh my gosh, I can't talk, and that's what we're doing right now. We're talking
400 hours of recap.
We can't do 400 hours of recap because there's just a lot of recap. So we thought that we would start out with each of us describing some of our most memorable moments and maybe chatting about them. So Bill, you want us to get
It's gotta be Shanae and Genevieve's drunk moment. That was one of my favorite moments. To see two mortal enemies bond over the fact that Jesse Palmer is a robot who took their stuff away and get drunk. And it furthers my belief that nothing brings together people like a common enemy and booze. Like
tequila makes magic happen.
it does. Yep. And
what
so
was up with their funky walk that they
I
were
think
doing?
they were walking like crabs. I watched it again. I saw a clip of it last night, and I think they were trying to do like the sideways crab walk, like squatted down.
Because if I was gonna do my 100 butt bug walk, I would walk a little bit like they were walking.
Yeah. But that is if you all are just listening to us and not watching the show, God bless you. What are you doing with your time? But thank you. My favorite moment so far has been this odd Shanae and Genevieve like team up. They become best friends. Genevieve was sticking up for Shanae last episode. Yeah. She was like wiping her tears away. It is magic. That is the real love story. The friendships that come out of this.
I don't think it's long for this world though.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see the real Dementor popping out.
Yeah. I feel like it's more the tale of the frog and the scorpion, but I'm just living in the like, oh, they're going across the river together. This is so nice. You just can't wait for Shanae.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful right now. There's a lot of other fun friendships too.
Yeah.
I think like, yeah, there's lots of other friendships. I'm so tired tonight, y'all.
What's your Danielle? What do you got?
So I want to talk about Michael. He was getting some rough press last week, and I wanted y'all's thoughts on it. Is Michael a villain, right? Is he just really getting a good storyline from producers? Did he do Sierra dirty? What are your thoughts about him and Danielle now? Yeah. So what are y'all thinking about Michael? Good, bad, in between?
I don't think he should be on the show because I don't think this is going to make me sound like a stone cold, horrible human being. He is not over his wife. And so he is not he doesn't make for good TV because you either feel sorry for him or you're like, wait, you just did to Sierra dirty, and then now you're immediately seeing someone else and you just said you weren't sure that you were ready for another relationship. So, but he definitely has beefed up and he looks really nice and he's tanning quite nicely on the beach. So I say 10 stars for appearance, 4 stars for everything else.
I don't have a problem that he's on the show and he hasn't gotten over his wife. But maybe that's because I don't believe that this show is about love. It's about hot people hooking up. That being said, I've always got kind of a weird vibe from him. Like, I know everyone was like, oh, he's great and he's so nice. I always thought he was a little creepy in some ways. He's just something about him just creeped me out a little bit. And I still feel it. I would say, I don't know that I get like creepy, but I do get like, there's something strange about him. I don't know if I describe it as creepy, but I think I feel some of that too, Bill. Yeah. To be fair, Danielle, I feel like you may not get a creepy vibe from almost anybody. Like if Danielle was a child, I would live in fear of her being like, I'm gonna jump in that van. Like
you went up to every stranger, I bet.
Yeah, Danielle likes everybody.
You have a puppy?
It's my favorite thing about her. She sees the good in everyone while I'm over here like, that dude's a creep. I don't like him.
Mm-hmm. He will murder you.
I'm like, that person's so weird. Isn't it delightful? They're embracing their uniqueness.
Yeah.
it's interesting. I have some empathy for sometimes when people are in these situations, right, where he tells Sierra, you know, I'm not ready for things. And you really maybe feel that in the moment, and what you don't realize until later, oh, well, actually, I just wasn't feeling it with you.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe you don't, you want to kind of save face for them, but like also like sometimes I don't know that, you know, you're kind of like are working through things. I do think that he is getting really a great storyline from the producers. I think that they're like really committed to that. And I will say the other people on the show, the other actors, like they seem to really like him too. And I always think it's interesting, like when you do have someone that everybody else kind of talks about in really positive ways, I think that that's probably a sign that they are good humans. But I do get a little bit of a strange vibe from him too.
Yeah, I don't think I think he was trying to be nice to Sierra, and I think he says, I think everybody does this, or most people do this. They break up with somebody and they say, like you said, what they think in the moment, but given a little bit of time and distance and meeting somebody who fulfills the needs that that person didn't, they're like, yeah. But you don't go back to that person and be like, I'm going to need to clarify some stuff. It wasn't that I wasn't ready. It's that you're really boring. And so
And you're young. She was
now,
so young compared to him.
yes. And now I'm ready to date someone because I found someone who has all the qualities that I didn't like in you that I want in them. So just to rehash history here, totally ready. You suck. Everything cleared up. Got it? Good. Like no one goes back and does that. So people who got dumped are like, you said you weren't ready. But I think if they took a minute, they'd be like, oh, it wasn't that you weren't ready.
You just weren't ready with me.
You were being nice to me.
And it's hard because I didn't feel like him and Sierra were a match, even though I think Sierra is so incredibly gorgeous. You know, I just thought personality wise and maturity level wise, they didn't seem to quite match. How about you, Kim? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking, and I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I've been thinking about this since Rachel and Gabby's season. What is it about Logan that makes all the women lose their ever-loving minds? Because I don't see it. He is boring, and I don't know him. He comes across as boring. He comes across as not like romantic or exciting. And he always has the same facial expression. I'm like, I don't get it. Does he smell really good? I mean, does he like make them eggs every morning? And they're like, dang, I could get used to this. I don't get what the appeal is of him, because everything we've seen is blah.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Is it just that he's tall? You know, like it's just like, because I can't figure it out. Like, is that enough? Like,
For some people it is.
that's all that I can make sense of.
So we talk about some of this in some of my classes, and like, and I'm going to sound really old, but kids these days, the students in my class in the last like 2 or 3 years, one of the first things they lead with is height. Like both the guys and girls are like, they need to be tall. And then it's usually like a specific like minimum or maximum. So like they need to be over 6'4". And I'm always a little bit like, odd. Okay. Like that's your, yeah. Maybe I'm jaded because I'm not very tall.
Okay, I will say, as someone who is married to a very tall man, there are many things that I appreciate about him, but like the tallness it is convenient at times that I can't reach things in cupboards, but it really hasn't been much of an advantage in my marriage in any sort of way, right? Like that's like a weird thing to have on a list, I guess.
I will say that I had one guy that didn't like it when I wore heels because then I was a little bit taller than him. So I always had to wear flats when I was dating him. But most of the guys I've dated are a lot taller. And it's nice because I can't reach stuff in cupboards and then they can reach it for me.
Elaine's taller than me in heels, and that has never once bothered me.
Well, that's because you are a very different person than this person.
That's true, yeah.
was.
Interesting fact. So can I drop an interesting since we're being very educational? This is not going to top the 1,000 bug one, but if you have a man that's 6 foot tall and a man that's 5'4", the man needs to make that's 5'4". If you had them rate attractiveness, to catch up, the man has to make about $125,000 more a year than the man who is 6 foot. I think that's the number that I have quoted in class many a time.
Man.
So you can make up for being short with money.
With money.
Which is why Tom Cruise is worked so hard.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Tom Cruise has just been making up for being 5'6" his whole career.
He's not 5'6". He's shorter than that.
Yeah, probably maybe.
He's a little baby guy.
Yeah.
So do we think that is Logan really funny?
I don't think so.
No, did you watch? Okay, so last night, back into the recap. Last night, him and what was the girl with the big white teeth?
Kate.
Him and Kate were like talking, and it was like, this is painful when they were like talking about her toes, and he's like, that was polluting, and she's like, you're so funny. It's like, he's not funny at all.
Maybe he just smells really good. I just don't get it otherwise.
Well, the thing that's interesting is like you go, okay, so maybe it was like somehow he's like Gabby or Rachel's like type, right?
Right.
But then like he comes on this show and like it seems like he's just a fan favorite. Maybe he just what if like off camera he's just like way more attractive. You know how like you're like
and they need to like, show that.
It's like the opposite of like photogenic. He's like,
I don't know. I don't get it. I just think it's like, I think he's tall. He looks like a surprised bird. That's my takeaway. His face, he always looks like he's like a really surprised like stork or something. Like
all of the different memes comparing him to different like cartoons and like things like that are so fantastic.
Yes.
And all spot on. He looks like tired and dumb, but tall.
I don't get it.
Which I feel like might be a thing that the girls that go on Bachelor in Paradise are looking for. Tall, dumb, and willing to drink margaritas all day long with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other things that we need to talk about, Bill?
So as we're going down through our list, so we all put 2 things that we want to talk about. We were allowed 2 things. So I just want to once again point out that there are a whole bunch of like same-sex friendships going on, and I am here for it. The guys was it like 2 weeks ago? What's the really young-looking guy?
Brandon
was ready to go because the girl he likes was gone, and they're like, bro, stay. We're going to be together, bro. We'll work with you, bro. It was beautiful. But also in my relationships class, we talk about the old saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I feel like that was what was put to the test. And so what do you think? Was it proven? Was it not proven?
I think it was really interesting because a couple of the girls and a couple of the guys were like, I don't like this change. I'm going to stick with my person, and interacted not at all with the new people. Mm-hmm. And then the other half were like, let's do this, game on. So I think it absolutely depends on the person. And I think in their case, absence, they can't really communicate back and forth. I think now a lot of times, like if you're traveling and you're gone for a while and you're not with your person, you're still probably talking every day. So I'm not even sure you're that absent because you're able to continually communicate with whoever it is in a lot of different mediums. Whereas on the island, they're not on an island. In Mexico, they couldn't text or FaceTime or anything back and forth. So it really was absent. But it seemed like Serene was like, no, I want no interest in any of these guys. And the new guys are hot. And she was like, pass, no, thank you. And then the guys, there were a couple of the guys that did the same thing, that they weren't interested in the new girls. So
Yeah, I was surprised Olu got no play. They were like,
I know, he's a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah.
I'd give him play.
So I was annoyed that I think that it kind of worked, right?
Yeah.
Like as an experiment. I would say that I think it kind of did work. The absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of thing in a way. And the reason that I sort of say this, so this was one of my things, is like, I felt that this was like one of the most evil things that I've seen the producers do, because it just caused, especially some of the women, to spiral. And so what I will say is, you know, like with Aaron and Genevieve, right? I do think that this is like, they made it through this tough thing, and it reaffirmed how much they liked each other, and like I think they doubled down on their commitments. And like, I think that this experience is absolutely going to probably strengthen the relationship and move it to a more intimate level.
Danielle,
would this pass IRB? I don't think so. This does not seem like an ethical way to treat your participants in this experiment. But I kind of do think that it did. If you had a strong enough foundation, I think that this makes the heart grow fonder. If you didn't have a good foundation, then the heart is with someone else on the beach.
like Shanae and Logan, for example.
Yeah.
I think the way they did it. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
Did you watch the previews for next week, Danielle?
Yes, I did. Oh,
So
did I miss something?
Do you still feel confident?
No,
Genevieve
Aaron and Genevieve, don't tear them apart.
Well, here's
heart
the
can't handle
problem.
it.
Aaron is not happy with Shanae, but now like Genevieve and Shanae are together. I feel like that's going to come to a head. I feel like they were foreshadowing it, because Aaron was like, get out. She needs to go somewhere else. Like his armchair psychologist.
If
Like,
they break up because of the Dementor. Ah!
I liked when he's like, maybe she should date an alien and go to another planet, and then they would like her. It's like, I thought the way that they did it was interesting, because the women really had to visually realize that there were 5 hot women that were walking on the stage, and then they were like, and you're gone. But the men never had to see the guys, right? So I think that was some of the reason for the spiraling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also think if you go ahead.
Go ahead.
I also think that like the people who wanted to stay committed enacted ways to stay committed, right? So they were just like, I'm just not going to talk to these people. I'm not going to like interact with them. It was the people. So really it wasn't the absence, the commitment to not, to not having a wandering eye was what really hammered it home, I think.
Which I think, yeah.
Yeah, exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, and I think that like, I think that heartbreaking moments, right, were where you had someone like Lace who did all of those things, or was it Jill too, right, that did all of the things and said, hey, I'm not gonna pursue these other relationships, and they to only find out that commitment wasn't sort of there on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like the thief's dilemma.
But Jill hooked her wagon to Jacob, so she kind of only has herself to blame.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes of the season was, I cried over an Uber driver. he sold his couch for cash. And I was like, if you looked at Jacob, you'd be like, that guy has definitely sold his possessions more than once and thought, I'm gonna live in a van. Or like,
One of my favorite edits that they did on the episode last night was like after, like, so you have like Jill crying because like Jacob breaks up with her, and then he's doing like his weird meditations and his like legs are over and his like butt's out. And I was like, you're like, that's what you're crying over. It was the most beautiful, like, I was like, that was a moment that I was like, thank you. Thank you, franchise, for that lovely edit that you made. I mean, I like laughed and asked you all, like, is the franchise losing its wholesome vibe? And of course, like Bill, like you said earlier, Bachelor in Paradise has always sort of been, this is not really a show about love, it's about hooking up. What I do think has been interesting about this season, though, is that I do feel like while it's always been kind of wild on the part of the contestants, like the contestants is a free-for-all, I feel like now it's like a free-for-all for what the producers will do. And there's like more of these like gimmicks to create drama than I feel like there were in the past.
yeah. I remember back in the day when they would just throw a date card in between them and have them fight it out. Now we got all these gimmicks.
We've had 2 rose ceremonies and we are in week 1827.
Yeah. They've given up on the rose, sir. They're like, this is boring. Next week they're gonna introduce a cornucopia. Be like, only one couple gets out.
Hunger Games.
When they like left him, I think what I was most surprised by is I was like, for a whole week? Like, aren't you all only there for 2 weeks? Like, I didn't think that filming was that long. So to take an entire week in a switcheroo thing seemed wild to me.
I don't know why the girls were complaining. They got air conditioning. They got to go in air conditioning, and the guys were wicked hot. Like, shut up and just enjoy the air conditioning and the tequila. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can tell they're of the age that goes to music festivals. Because like you hit a certain age and you're like, I'm not standing outside for 17 hours, like sweating. Like somebody wants to make out with me, I'd be like, I haven't brushed my teeth or chewed gum in like 3 hours. There's no way we're doing that. Sorry. Like, yeah.
These are Coachella people. These are not 3-day jazz festival people.
Stagecoach. That's their big thing.
Do they get to bring books? Like, this has been haunting me.
Danielle, it's so cute. You think they can read.
What do they do all day? Like, do they have a good library?
I've wondered that too. I think they just sit around, they work out. They seem like they get up, they eat, they work out, and then they just lay around and drink. They seem very bored. That was Aaron last night with Genevieve. She's like, I thought you were going to talk to other girls. She's like, all I did was play sharks and minnows with the guys. And it's like,
well, I mean, like, that's why like these poor people are down there and they're like turning their toes into puppet shows. Like, oh, look at this little piggy went. Like they're like, I'm like, give these folks something to read. I'm worried about them. So we wanted to talk about some of our lessons learned or deep thoughts.
Wait, I think Kimmy.
I didn't get to talk about mine.
Kim's got Johnny.
Oh, yes, we have to talk about Johnny. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Please have this be the freeze frame for Facebook.
Oh, that
okay. Hi. So Johnny got all upset that Victoria had a list and that the other Rick. I knew it started with an R. Rex is a much better name, by the way. So Rick was ticking all the things on boxes on her list, and Johnny, who I didn't like when he was on his season because he's super immature, was really upset because she has this list and who has a list. And I was thinking, literally everyone has a list. I think doesn't everyone kind of have a list of what they're looking for or or like things that their person needs to be able to do or accomplish for them to want to be together. So my statement is twofold. Bill, in your research, number one, do people typically have a list? And number two, what was your lists? And then I'll tell you what my current list is.
Oh, well, I know your list definitely owns a boat on it, because we have told you
owns a boat or has access to a boat.
we will kick you out of friend group bachelorette night if you marry somebody or date someone and they don't have an access to a boat. You're our last hope.
Working on
it. Yeah, so I think people, like, of course people have lists, right? No one, whether they're like overt lists, or they definitely have like floors that they won't go below, right? But what we find is that those lists are pretty malleable. So it's not like you have to meet these things and then you're above the criteria. People will be like, I won't date someone like this. And then they'll be like, but they have really nice eyes. And so they make a concession. And so people don't have like hard and fast lists. I think my problem with Johnny was that she's like, well, what, do you want to have kids? He's like, I want to fall in love. And it's like, her thing was like, it wasn't even that he didn't meet her list. It was that he wouldn't even talk about it. Like, he was just like, I will not be backed into a corner. I will not change. And it's like, that is a red flag, right? If you're going to date, marry, fall in love with someone, they better at least be willing to talk about their feelings and what they might do tomorrow besides chill and hang out.
Well, I mean, okay, so part of the reason he left the last season, right, was because he wasn't ready for a commitment. And so him being on Bachelor Paradise seems like a better fit.
Right.
And it seems like Victoria is like very ready to move to the next stage. And so I'm kind of surprised, maybe his list is like someone that doesn't want it like to be that serious, but then he looks at Victoria and he's made that list more valuable.
Right.
I will say I was feeling a little bit of empathy for Johnny though. Like I kind of felt a little bad for him, and I haven't felt anything but sort of like, who is this guy? And so I don't know, I guess that him maybe being rejected caused me to like Johnny more. Mopey Johnny is interesting to me. He has like feelings and emotions. By the way, I think that like my church youth group, we had to like make a list, and I would love to find
this was the Mormon,
that I made
youth group.
The Mormon youth group. I'm pretty sure that there's like some activity night, and one of the activities that we did was like make a list of things that we are looking for in a future partner.
I can tell you're leaning forward and messing around on your computer, and so I am just hoping against hope that you are looking through old files on your computer. It's like 14-year-old Danielle.
Yeah, the pro-con list for when you met Ryan, because that would be amazing too.
No, I do think that like I felt like at that time, I think I would have told you that I had a much more clear sense of what I was looking for in a relationship and a partner. I probably at the time could have articulated things to you, but like, I don't know that I know what was on my list.
Yeah.
Other than like someone like someone that I could talk to, that I could have interesting intellectual conversations with. I don't know what else was on my list. I would love to see my list. I think an old list would be dynamite.
So I have 3 things. I used to have 4.
Okay.
As a job.
So far. Yep. Very low bar.
Doesn't live in his mom's basement.
Even lower.
And then the one that I've removed now that I'm in my
has
40s.
100 butts. Oh, sorry.
Right? No, The one I removed, because now that I'm in my 40s, has to be able to carry me around because sometimes my legs get tired. But I feel like in my experience, guys in their 40s can't always lift the same as guys in their 20s and 30s.
Oh no, they get old
I don't
hamstring.
want to hurt anybody's backs.
Put that shit back on the list.
All right.
Back on old
Yeah.
hamstring. It's a
Back on
thing.
the
It's
list.
like real.
Yep.
And
There's
then
like-
my fourth has a boat or has access to a boat.
Yeah.
My standards are fairly low, as my history proves, but job and a boat, really, I'll go on a date with you.
Start sending in application, folks. Bachademia@gmail.com. That'll be the next episode. Finding Kim a hubby.
Oh, I
Not
love
even a hubby, just somebody to go have drinks with. She's fun.
Finding someone Bill can borrow their boat from.
And maybe has some like ladders, because I'm gonna have to paint and stuff, and I don't have a ladder.
Girl, get your own ladder.
ladders are,
They're one of
they're
those
quite
things.
useful.
Yeah, you buy and then they lay in your garage, and then the time you need them, you're like, oh yeah, I did buy that. I'm gonna use
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Buy your
Or I
own
borrow
ladder.
the neighbors.
Buy your own ladder. It's so nice to have it. I don't remember if I had a list. I know that being funny and not. So I saw this interesting thing, this research study not too long ago, and it is like when men say they want someone who is funny, they want someone who will laugh at their jokes. When women say they want someone who's
Believe
funny,
that.
and so that is actually a study that was done. But Elaine is one of the funnier people I know, and not laughing at my jokes. Like, she is a funny person. And so I know that was on my list. I can't remember what else, but I think what drew me in is that she's funny and she doesn't take herself seriously. And those were two things that I think are pretty important. So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so Johnny's wrong and we are right, and now we can go to lessons learned.
I will say though, even though I did jump the gun on that, Kim, that memorable moment was like a really deep thought. So, it brought out some important lessons about love and lists.
I love to drop love lessons on people because I am very good at it.
All right, Bill, drop some deep thoughts.
why am I going? I've gone first this whole time.
Because that's the order.
All right.
I must have gotten into like a loop. It was
Here we go. I think the power of the situation always wins. This is a fundamental psychological thing. I think that some of these people are probably very reasonable adults. You stick them in a room with a bunch of like half-naked people who are vying for somebody that they might like, and they like lose all concept of like, I think what's the dude's name? Logan. I think Logan, if he were at a bar and you thought he was attractive and your girlfriend thought he was attractive, you'd be like, you can have him. Yeah, we're just having more fun talking. We're not going to go hit on him. But when you take their books away and you put them on an island and you take almost all their clothes away, Logan becomes Lady Smurf, and it's the only thing you can hit on, and you're going to fight over it.
Nice.
the situation.
So endeth the lesson. This is what the government's trying to do. This is why you shouldn't let them ban books. If they ban our books, we're turning into Bachelor in Paradise. Don't let it happen.
So based on this like theory, should you just never go on Bachelor in Paradise for love? Is that your
Oh yeah, no, you should go to like, make out with people, drink, get some type of STI, be happy, go home. That's what BIP is for.
I think what if I was on Bachelor in Paradise, I would buddy up with somebody on the first week and say, listen, we're on vacation. It's all you can drink and eat. Let's ride this train as far as we can go and just have fun together. And we're probably not going to be a magical match at the end, but let's get a 6-week free vacation out of this bad boy and have a good time.
That is the one thing I think the producers are amazing at. They will let all sorts of like trailer trash, like people who are trying to promote themselves, misogynist on there, but they will not allow somebody on there who's like, here's the deal, guys. I'm here to get drunk and have fun. Like they do not allow that person on there.
Oh no, that breaks the rules.
Yep. That is the one thing.
You're here for love, which is
Yeah,
why
that's a rule breaker.
it's a little complicated that like they're doing all these gimmicky things that don't feel like the gimmicks are about helping people form connections. The gimmicks feel very overtly about making drama.
I agree.
Which is exciting, but it feels like a shift in their branding.
The drama's gonna happen no matter what. Let it happen.
Well, and then they ruined a whole 3 episodes by bringing in Ashley and what's his bucket. It was like, get off the screen. We don't care about you.
Yeah, it would have been done by now. Like last night would have been the last episode had they not brought in what's their nuts.
Now we go till Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I will say this. I really truly feel like this season would have been better to watch if they would have just done it one night a week. Right? Yeah. Because I think that condensing everything, it would have created more drama in less time. It would have been better to watch. Also, I don't know what this says about us or potentially our listeners. Sorry, listeners, but I'm putting myself in the same boat. What is the fan base that has 4 hours a week to drop on this?
Thank you, Hulu, for being a thing that exists.
Double income, no kids over here, Bill. You got all the time in the world. Not happy with the job right now.
With my aunt, we're watching it.
Not happy with my job. Just at 5 o'clock, I'm done, guys. I'm good.
Kim, what has been your deep thoughts, magical moments?
Yes.
Hit us up.
Okay, so I just briefly touched on the fact that I'm currently living with my aunt, who is a delight and a breath of fresh air in my life. And she is, I have gotten her a little bit addicted to Bachelor in Paradise, because when I watch it with her, the first week I watched it here, I'm sitting at the dining room table right now, and the TV room is off to the side, and she was sitting at the dining room table reading her book, because she is a big reader. If she was on Bachelor in Paradise, she would sneak in books, I'm sure. Yeah. And I could tell she was kind of watching it because she'd make comments, but she wasn't really watching it. And then on Monday night when we were watching it, she was sitting in the living room, fully absorbed, commenting on what was going on.
I like to imagine her just creeping, a little closer every week until she's just in the chair.
I mean, you heard her giggling in the background during our last podcast recording, because at the very end she was giggling throughout because she was standing in the kitchen while I was recording, and she absolutely was out loud giggling by the end of it. And so it brings me great joy to get my 79-year-old aunt's opinion on this show, because she thinks that Andrew is a cutie. She's got a little crush on Andrew. She's like, do the girls eat? None of them look like they eat anything, and we never see them eat anything. And I said, I don't think if you're wearing a bathing suit all day, every day, I probably wouldn't eat that much either. And then I will tell you this, not a fan of Jacob. So my lesson learned is that everyone should watch this show with their aunt. It is an amazing experience, and I highly recommend it to everyone.
I will say we joke sometimes about the way that this show brings people together, but legit, this show brings people together.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Yeah.
It's a magic. It's I really think that if they needed to rebrand, I'm putting this out into the world for you, Bachelor franchise, that if they would rebrand themselves as a show that brings people together.
Generations coming together to watch Bachelor in Paradise.
Yep.
Yes. I mean, it was the cure to COVID loneliness.
Yep.
It was.
Yeah, Bachelor Watching Pod was all started out of a nothing to do.
absolutely came
And
out
the
of COVID.
podcast was started out of COVID loneliness.
Absolutely. It's like it's a
Back when the
lovely
three of us had
sadness.
nothing to do, and now we're like, oh, we're busy.
So dumb busyness. It
Now we
really
record at 11 o'clock at night because it's the only time we can all get together.
So, well, and I mean, I will say it doesn't help that it takes me 4 hours a week to just watch this show right
True.
now. Like
100%.
100%. So I was like thinking about this and I was like, how do I have a lesson every single episode? We've watched like all of this time. And I was like, I don't know if I just haven't had deep thoughts lately because kind of like Bill, I'm like coming home from work and I'm just like, I've used my brain for the day. I'm done. So I don't know if some of the reasons that I haven't seen as many lessons or had as many deep thoughts is because like I just am blank, or if I was like thinking about it and I was like, okay, because I do a lot of research that's, around identity categories, right? So thinking through things like, well, what's happening that's interesting around gender or race or sexuality or anything. And there's been nothing this season, really. Can you all think, am I missing something?
Definitely no gender or race.
It hasn't felt and I don't know if maybe this is also the franchise trying to avoid some of those things because they haven't been doing so hot. But then like it really is kind of like interesting to me. It feels like there's just such an absence of that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was like, is there really an absence of that, or is like my critical brain just turned off during watching? So I was trying to think of things, and I was thinking about Shanae, and to kind of bring it back to Shanae and Genevieve, their friendship. I was like thinking about like loyalty and, this commitments and the shakeups and, just kind of thinking through like, what are the rules of the beach? And because I do think that the rules of the beach or the situation or whatever you want to call it, like, it's hard to pin down. Where like I feel like the rules on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are more overt.
Yeah, the rules on the beach are very community built,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So it's a collaboration. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's like very feminist of them
Yeah.
to co-create their rules.
But that makes sense. That's why
When
like
I think of Bachelor in Paradise, feminism is the first word that comes to mind.
They have a feminist ethic of teamwork.
but like grocery store Joe kind of became the like arbitrator last year, but we haven't had like an arbitrator this year,
Casey kind of was, but then he like
That
That
was
was
body.
an interesting moment. That was definitely like it was. I felt like they're like, hey, we have to have an ambulance scene, right? And they're like, Casey, we're gonna slip this in your drink. And
Casey.
no. And then he's just gone. It's
Yeah,
like
everyone kind of
really-
accepted it too. They're like, yeah, Casey passes out. Hey.
Oopsie
And
doodle.
No one was like, does he have a heart condition or what? Yeah.
And then we're worried about his ankle and he leaves. Like, I don't know. It's yeah, the rules of the beach. What do you think the rules of engagement are this season then?
I don't think they've been around enough to develop them. I
think that there's some commitments to each other though. Like you sort of said that like it seems like especially there's now like this teaming of loyalty among like sort of the original.
Yep.
And then like the newcomers, I guess. And then I do think that like it's hard to figure out what the relationship rules are,
Mhm.
but like in terms of their friendship rules, it seems like there's like more of a commitment that like, oh, the girls are gonna get along, the guys are gonna get along.
Mhm.
Well, I think the girls definitely bonded. And the original guys bonded, right? Because they got sent away and it was very much like, you are now a group. And so I think that's probably where that comes from.
The guys seem more open to welcome the new guys. And but I also wonder if some of that is because more of the girls seem to try to keep their commitments than the guys did, which isn't particularly shocking.
Yeah.
Well, and they didn't see Olu, and I feel like if Olu had walked out on the beach, they all would have felt like, oh God, we did not measure up to this guy.
Oh. How Logan, but not Olu? These are the mysteries of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yep.
So what are you all's predictions?
I think Michael and Danielle will end up together.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Serene and Brandon for sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
obvious.
I actually think something's gonna happen and they're not gonna end up together.
They're giving off very high school sweethearts that get married.
They're gonna go to college and meet other people, and
yeah.
it's gonna end in tears.
I think Johnny and Victoria are gonna get engaged.
So unrelated, but I was lecturing about like people who go to college together, dating from high school, and then they break up in college, and everyone was looking at this one girl, and then finally someone was like, she just broke up with her high school boyfriend the other day, and I was like, oh no.
But give her a prize because that's good.
She did not look well. Like,
spread your wings. Well, yeah, I'm sure
very
she
sad.
Spread your wings, meet new people.
I did follow up with an email after class and said, I'm sorry, if you need mental health services, the university provides those. I'd also be happy to talk to you. So yeah.
Poor thing.
Like, sorry, I ridiculed you.
Yeah, it's like this person right here. Like,
Bill is the Bachelor producers of his courses.
Yes. I'm just trying to get as much controversy as possible.
Oh my goodness.
You're trying to save them from 4 years of back and forth drama and just cut it freshman year and move on with your lives. Yep. That's what you're doing.
Do you think that there's any couples that are going to like not be engaged at the end of this, but like might leave together?
No. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, until you all told me that I
was gonna say Aaron and Genevieve, maybe them, because maybe the producers are making us think something happens that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's my hope is that they like are still together, and like James like has a girlfriend somewhere and they can all like double date.
Poor James.
James and his tiny head.
It's true. All right, Bill, do you have, I don't have it up. Can you give a shout out to our...
I do. Sicklerville, New Jersey. Sicklerville, New Jersey is an unincorporated community within the Winslow Township in Camden County, New Jersey. Zip code 08081. It was started by Paul Sickler. So Sicklerville is a whole bunch of Sicklers that live there. It's got 45,000 people in it. It's got a whole bunch of houses of worship listed. They didn't have any type of industry, so apparently it's just a place where people live. Let's see, what else do we got?
Where is it? Is it close to New York City or Philadelphia?
It's between Philadelphia and Atlantic City.
That's where everybody works.
Yep. And then notable people, Jordan Burroughs was born there, who is one of the best Olympic wrestlers of all time. Iowa, kind of an Iowa connection. Sean Green, who played running back for the University of Iowa, lived there. And Ed Forshian, a marijuana rights activist who uses the name NJ Weedman, lives there.
Nice.
And that's about it. Olympic silver or gold medalist where was it? Priscilla Frederick, silver medalist in the Pan Am Games, also from there.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Sicklerville?
It's Sicklerville. I'm gonna assume that it's Jordan Burroughs, one of the greatest wrestlers of all times. And
Oh
he's
my God, Jordan, if you're listening, good job wrestling. A+.
Yeah. Bill
Hey,
Henniger, who was also a wrestler. He makes this podcast, and I gotta get down on this. He's been a fan of my career. I've got to be a fan of Bill's career. It's the way it works.
The way it works.
Yep.
And what's his name?
Jordan Burroughs.
Jordan, I don't like wrestling, but I support you wrestling and thank you for your service to our country.
As a wrestler.
I do like
As a wrestler.
wrestling. And I also like a nice end to a podcast. So thank you for listening, Sicklerville.
We will be back with after the final episode. We will record and then we will be done until sometime. So
Yeah.
everyone get ready for Thanksgiving. It'll come out shortly after that.
Woohoo.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Bachademia.
With your hosts, Danielle Dick McGee.
Kim Hannah.
And Bill Hennig.
All thoughts and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the person who spoke them.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show, leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast.
Also, please share with your family, friends, colleagues, and other ardent Bachelor fans.
If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at bachademia@gmail.com.
Or on the Twitter with the handle @Bachademia.
Thanks for listening.